Hello and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley,
Taylor, and our special guest, James the Science Tool Boy.
Hello.
As always, we're wearing togas, it's sunny outside and we're trapped inside, and today we're going to look at the Battle of Actium.
So, if we think about what we were looking at last time, what was happening with Antony and Cleopatra, we've seen that both sides were kind of preparing for battle and getting themselves ready.
Wasn't one side preparing for battle and one side had a party?
Well, yeah, but there was a big slangy match going on between the two, so the build up to it was definitely happening, even though they'd not actually started punching each other yet. It was like the name calling stage.
Right, okay.
It was like the your mum stage when you were at school. It was that kind of thing.
I mean, you're getting quite invested in this now, James, aren't you? You've been...
I mean, it's more just, like, stubbornness. I've backed myself into this Antony corner and I'm staying there.
Well, don't forget, in the preparation, Antony did have a larger force.
However, Octavian had a much better force. And he also had Marcus Agrippa, who was one of the best kind of admirals, military, naval strategists of the day.
This is his mate he met at uni, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So obviously now there's only one way these two are actually going to resolve their differences, and that's at the Battle of Actium.
So where is Actium?
Greece.
Right. So the Romans and the Egyptians are fighting at Greece.
Yep, in Greece, just about halfway up the west-hand side. Hopefully there's a handy map to look at. But yeah, they're fighting in Greece.
Is that just because it's basically midway between?
Yeah, it's the equivalent of two schools meeting in a Tesco's car park to scrap it out there. They don't want to fight on their own territory. But yeah, Actium is in Greece.
Fair enough.
Now, Antony had camped his forces at one of his favourite watering holes, Actium, which is just on the Ambracian Gulf.
So it was Octavian that came to him for a scrap. And by doing that, Octavian had captured a number of key towns and he managed to cut off Antony's forces as well.
So Antony is cut off from resupply and basically surrounded. His forces are running out of food, illness is spreading in the camp, and some of his allies start leaving him. And although there were some attempts to break out of this when they weren't all massively hungover, Octavian's forces still keep Antony strangled and in this pretty desperate position.
Was there any way he could have foreseen this, or was it just Antony being Antony, not thinking ahead?
His troops were a lot more undisciplined than Octavian's were.
Is that because they're made of a mismatch of Egyptians and Romans, or is Roman ones have been away from Rome so long they're a bit flabby there?
Yeah, it's Octavian giving Antony enough time to destroy his own army.
Right,
for his men to get bored and to run off. And
they started to leave him. And also the other thing as well, he's got less men anyway, so he's got less rowers for his boats and things like that. So he's not got as many men.
So
even to start
the few precious resources he have are being whittled away.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and Octavian's got kind of an uninterrupted supply route, so he can keep getting all his supplies in, whereas Antony isn't. That's one of the reasons why his troops are getting so ill.
Can Antony not resupply from Egypt? Because aren't they like the breadbasket for the Rome?
They're trapped.
Yeah, they're trapped
He's
in.
trapped them in a barrel, basically.
Okay.
He's blockaded them in the Gulf, basically, so they can't get out.
Well done.
Now, it seems the decision to fight on the sea was Antony's idea.
Isn't he really bad at seafair?
Yeah, he sucks at sea. But according to Plutarch, it's all Cleopatra's idea. But before we look at that, there is more.
So we're going to look at Life of Mark Antony 62. So it says, Antony now had become so controlled by Cleopatra that although he was far stronger on land, he wanted to win his victory at sea, all for the sake of Cleopatra. This was despite the fact that he saw that his captains had not enough men to crew the ships and were forcing travellers, mule drivers, harvesters and young men from Greece already suffering much to serve on the ships. So he's basically going around saying, come and fight! Come and fight!
Getting any rando he can.
Yeah, anyone off the street will do, he's not bothered, as long as you've got 2 arms, you're fine. Even doing this, the ships were still short of men, and so were undermanned and badly crewed. Now, the other thing to think about is that he'd actually convened a council of war with his key advisors to discuss whether to fight on sea or on land, but they'd still decided to fight at sea.
That seems like a great idea.
Of misadvice, I would say.
with all their shoddy sea people.
So yeah, they were literally just getting anyone they could
Yeah.
to help them fight.
Yeah.
You didn't mention his infantrymen. Are they that separated? Do you not get your infantry onto boats and vice versa?
There's some infantry on the boats, but he's
Okay.
also got to keep a land force ready
Yeah.
in case Octavian also attacks at sea.
Okay. I'm guessing Octavian had some super plan to undo Antony.
Plutarch?
So the next bit says, on the other hand, Octavian's ships were properly equipped, built to show off their height or their size, but easy to steer, fast and fully manned. Octavian had kept his fleet at Tarentum and Brundisium. He sent a message to Antony.
You're not looking happy there, James.
I'm just quite anxious about this.
Can you not tell how it's going to go yet, James?
I'm still holding out for a peaceful resolution to this.
No, it's Antony and his inexperienced rowers and,
Everything it sounds like.
and Octavian and his sea ninjas.
Oh god. This is sounding more and more like the worst idea anyone has ever had, like, in history. Does Antony have something? Is he Aquaman secretly?
No, it's just stupid. So, Octavian is much, much better at fighting at sea. He's had a lot of experience. He's already fought and defeated Sextus Pompey as well. And obviously he's got Agrippa that he can use too. So I know you're probably going to say something tonight, like,
Well, he's just hiding behind his bigger mate, isn't he?
exactly. But you
Agrippa
know what?
basically is
Yeah.
Aquaman.
Right, okay.
If you've got it, then why not use it? He's just being tactical, isn't he? And using the he's a master delegator. Very
Okay.
careful. So that's what he's doing. Okay, so
So if Octavian's so good at sea and Antony's so bad at it, why has he decided to fight him at
well,
sea?
that's what we're going to have a look at now. I mean, if you read some of the sources from the period and you look at kind of later historians and what they say, they all agree that Agrippa is kind of a really good naval expert, basically, at sea battles. So strategy and things like that, he really, really knows what he's doing. So this is definitely his strength. So Octavian's using him. But if we come on to what you're asking, James, which is, well, why on earth would he be so stupid?
You see Agrippa on a boat.
This had better be good.
So it says in Plutarch, nevertheless, Cleopatra won with her view that the war should be decided at sea. In fact, she was already thinking of flight and arranging for her own forces, not where they will be useful to win victory, but from where, if things went badly, she could most easily get away. What do you think about that then?
Not a lot. So he said, was that her only reason for wanting this to be at sea, so she can leg it if
Well,
it goes wrong?
That's what the sources broadly suggest.
Yeah, I mean, the reason...
Are there any fair sources that suggest this, or is it all Plutarch, etc.?
Plutarch's probably the fairest.
Yeah.
But again, it's this perennial issue that everyone hates Cleopatra and they're just going to slay her.
Right.
But interestingly, if we look on a bit, you can suggest that Mark Antony also realises
It's
he's
not
not
going
going to
well.
go well. I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, if you see Marcus Agrippa on a boat, just run.
So
Or swim.
does Antony have his own Agrippa, or is he in control of all his armies? Is he delegating at all?
There's only one Agrippa.
There's only one. But the other thing as well that we need to think about is that although, yes, they're being encouraged to Antony choosing to fight at sea, one of the reasons why, if we try and get away from just the Cleopatra, mind control, it's her fault, if we think about other things as well, if he doesn't do this, then he's going to have to leave Cleopatra at sea on her own with her ships and go and mount an attack on land, or Cleopatra's going to go with him, so all of her ships that they've got as a resource to fight with, they're going to have to leave behind, and ultimately they will end up getting destroyed.
Right,
So
okay.
really, although it is a pretty stupid thing to do, there is a reason why possibly he's thinking of doing it.
Not the
apart from
best
just-
reason.
No.
But
I wouldn't
But a
expect it to be a
reason.
good reason.
So as we alluded to, it's not just Cleopatra there. Antony may also have some inkling, like I said, that this is not going to go well, and we've got some good suggestions that we know this.
Did he just sober up for a bit and think about it?
No, it was to do with sails.
What?
So,
Yes, sails.
Boats have sails, don't they?
Not always.
Oh.
Over to Plutarch.
so Plutarch says that he had little hope himself is shown by the fact that when his captain wanted to leave their sails behind, he forced them to put them on the ships and take them with them, saying that they must not give any fugitive from the enemy a chance to escape.
So they take this normally in like an ancient naval battle, because triremes are powered by oars and sails. You'd use the sails for long sea journeys. So you use the sail to get to where you want to scrap.
Yeah.
When it comes to scrapping, you take the sails off because you don't want to be rowing your boat with all that extra weight and extra baggage. So you take them off and then you do your scrapping. But Antony, before the Battle of Actium, is refusing to let his men take the sails off the ships, which instantly suggests he's got one eye out the door. It's like, what? We need to run away. Keep the sails. So that's why he takes the sails.
Right, okay.
This suggestion throughout the sources that basically Antony and Cleopatra's plan all along is that they're just going to start fighting and then do one and leg it so that they can
Or sail it.
they can try and encourage Octavian's forces to fight on land so that they can have a battle between the two men's infantry.
Right, I was about
as
to ask,
opposed
like,
to
what's the point in having a
navy.
massive sea battle if you're just going to peg it away from it straight
Yeah,
away?
but there's a bit of a
Looks nice.
there's a bit of a chink in the armour in that somebody who's kind of actually on Antony's side defects and goes and tells Octavian everything that's going on, including the amount of troops that he has left and the
And
amount
where
of
they
boats
are.
and where they are and things like
How
that.
much they've been drinking.
Yeah, so I mean that puts a complete spanner
So
in the works.
He's still, even at this point when they're pretty much about to have a fight, he's still having people defect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Even
cool.
by boat, literally off one
Oh, they're
boat,
just
in a
sailing
little
away.
boat, sailing off to Octavian.
He even decides that any ships that they can't use, that he's going to set them on fire.
Cool. Are we about to get all this started? Because they've been circling each other for a while. When's it just actually going to kick off?
Well, so in Plutarch it says once a decision was taken to fight a sea battle, finally decided what they're going to do.
Sorted that out.
Yeah, Antony burns all except 60 of the Egyptian ships. He manned fully the best and largest.
So these weren't like little... I when you said that earlier, I imagine you meant like fishing boats.
No,
you
no,
mean
no,
like
no.
actual warships.
Yeah. And
Why?
He burns them.
So,
Why?
well,
Antony's ships are much bigger and much slower.
and also you could say, well, he doesn't want the enemy to get their hands on his ships if they're beaten, or be able to use them for their own means to actually fight against him. But then also you've got this idea, I don't know, but you hear of other people doing this throughout history, and maybe it's to kind of cause a bit of a disruption or to try and mess with the heads of the army on the
Right.
opposing
By
side.
burning your own
By
Yeah.
burning your own ships.
This may be a silly question. Could they not have just sailed them away?
He didn't have enough men,
Oh, right.
so he's not
This
got
is-
enough men to use for all his ships.
This is one of the reasons he does it. He's got these big, cumbersome, lumbering ships that need a full complement of oarsmen to get them going. Octavian's ships are much smaller and faster, so they can outmaneuver Antony.
So these
massively.
bigger ships are the Egyptian ones Cleopatra's given him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that ultimately, there's no point having lots of spreading your men out across all of your ships because they can't go anywhere. You have like 5 guys rowing this massive.
There just seems like
trident.
there's a happy mid-ground between not using them and setting them on fire.
Recycling.
Keeping them for later.
Yeah.
There is no later. But yeah, before the battle, he burns most of his ships.
Really getting stressed now. When do they actually start fighting?
Well, not for a while, because once he does this, there's a storm that lasts for 3 days, so they can't fight at sea.
So is
Honestly, we're not just prolonging your...
I think you're dragging this out. This is taking a
We're
minute.
really not.
Is Antony like looking to start a fight? Because if he's got so few resources, is he just like, right, I want to get this started and over with?
I think he's got to.
So this is all
Yeah.
just kind of the world getting in his way.
Now, once the storm ends, we're getting there now. It's nearly.
Are they actually going to throw a punch at some point?
Wait for it. Once the storm ends, Antony sails his fleet out into the mouth of this Ambracian Gulf. He commands the right of the formation. Cleopatra is waiting in reserve. Ultimately, he wants Octavian to come to him, and he's effectively using like a land formation at sea. Think of it like a naval shield wall.
Okay.
So Octavian draws up his forces to blockade them. Okay, with Agrippa on the left actually facing Antony. So you're going to get your really good person to face the one that's really bad. So he's probably trying to scare him a little bit, like, yeah, you're not going to beat me, no chance. And then Octavian is on the right, and we get like a pincer movement, basically.
Is that like part of the problem? Is he using land tactics at sea?
To be fair, land tactics and sea tactics were pretty similar. You
Yeah.
form two lines and just
Go
at
throw
each
them
other.
at each other.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
But
he's not doing something aggressively stupid here.
No, and also don't forget his ships are slow, so he can't pull off any fancy strategic moves. He's no Themistocles. More about him in another podcast. But yeah, he's basically forming a defensive blockade.
Octavian knows that he's got the upper hand because he's got more ships, and with him being quicker and smaller, what he's trying to do is kind of draw Antony's ships out so that he can surround them easily. He can kind of cut them off so that they can't use each other to formulate some kind of strategic action against their enemy.
Right. So Antony's trying to keep his back to this gulf, basically.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And they're just trying to surround them, so they want them out so they're more exposed so they can surround them and ultimately sink them.
Okay.
That's what they want to do.
These big lumbering boats that he's got.
So you ready for the battle?
I don't think I am.
Well, that's all right, because once they do this, there's then a good couple of hours of just positioning their ships in the right place and hurling abuse at each other across the sea.
Is this just a massive troll?
Yeah. So then, after 6 hours of positioning and posturing...
6 hours?
6 hours. It takes a while to do things at sea.
Okay.
Yeah, so they do a lot of positioning and posturing. This is the equivalent of year 9s.
Like squaring up.
Squaring up, saying,
Okay.
come at me, bro. After 6 hours of positioning and posturing, they actually start fighting.
Are you sure? They're
Yes.
not going to delay it anymore? There's not a storm?
Making rude gestures, rude hand gestures over the
An
boat.
unusual fish swims past.
So they're actually going to
They're
start
actually
fighting?
going to fight, and after all of that time and all of that careful planning, clearly Antony's forces have forgotten the plan. And as the battle starts, Antony's left wing starts to push forward. You know, this is exactly what Octavian wants. Antony's line is starting to break, so Octavian quite craftily orders his oarsmen to row backwards.
Right, okay.
So he's drawing Antony out even further.
So Octavian's ships start to surround Antony's ships as they're doing this, and then we're going to look at Plutarch 66 and have a look what he says. So he says, the battle was now at the point where the fleets were close to each other. However, there was no ramming or breaking up of each other's ships. This happened because Antony's ships, being so heavy, could get no momentum, which is what mostly gives the blows from the rams their force. On the other hand, Octavian's ships not only avoided crashing against the jagged spikes and bronze rams, but even lacked the confidence to ram the side of enemy ships, for their rams would easily have been broken off by impact wherever they came into contact with the ships constructed of square beams joined together with iron bolts. The battle therefore resembled a land battle, or to speak more accurately, was like a battle against a fortified city. For 3 or 4 of Octavian's ships surrounded one of Antony's, and the crews fought with wicker shields and spears and poles and fire, thrown by catapults. The soldiers of Antony also fired with catapults from wooden towers.
So like lots of little mini sieges going on,
Sieges.
basically.
Yeah.
Traditionally you'd think it's a naval battle, and
Yeah.
you know, ancient naval warfare became very much like a game of dodgems.
Okay.
You ram the front of the pointy end of your ship into the side of the other ship and hope it'll break, and very often it did. But like it said, the problem Octavian has is Antony's ships are massive and his are small. It's like trying to ram a double-decker bus with a mini.
Right, okay.
So what you have instead is you have 3 minis racing around the slow double-decker bus. and they're just firing things at each other and trying to kill everyone. And it's not a quick battle.
Yeah, is this not typical of sea warfare then at this time?
It's less typical. It's certainly not traditional, but this is what happens as ships get bigger. You can. Octavian ships, like it said, could ram into the side of Antony's
Just
ship.
wouldn't do
So
much.
it's like, stop that.
You were saying earlier about how his Antony's line broke. Is that just down to the lack of discipline of his troops?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Right, okay.
And 6 hours waiting, they'd forgotten.
I mean, they forgot one thing to remember. Keep the line.
No.
So, meanwhile, on Octavian's left, Agrippa tries to outflank and surround the far right, which is like the north of Antony's lines. So this forces Antony's best admiral, called Publicola.
Publicola. I like that name.
There you go.
Antony's got a friend, I'm so happy.
Yeah, but he's not a very useful one, so I wouldn't get too excited.
Sake.
So Publicola kind of moves further right to help out bunching the line.
Yeah.
So, you going to say something, Mr. Midgley?
Oh, yeah, no, basically, Publicola sees Agrippa at one end of the line, so he leaves his spot in the middle to go and see off Agrippa, which then causes, everyone sees him do that, so all the other ships near him go, all right, I guess we're going that way then. So the line becomes a splodge.
Are they still drunk? Are Antony's forces still drunk? This sounds awful.
Possibly. I mean, the Navy's supposed to drink a lot of rum, isn't it? So maybe this is where it
I imagine that stops when someone's like trying to kill you.
I drink rum if someone was trying to kill me, to be fair. So it didn't help because Agrippa is just kind of drawing them out into open water. So this has been Octavian and Agrippa's plan all along, and because Antony's, even his best admiral, is still pretty useless, it's actually working. So what they thought was going to happen is happening.
Can you remember the one instruction they had?
Just keep the line.
Yeah, they
Keep
couldn't
the line.
remember that. You're right there, Jen.
I'm just this seems like you've done this just to make fun of me. I know I said I was backing Antony early, but this seems like just kicking me and him when we're
I
down.
think we're just helping you learn to make better, more informed judgments. I feel like your mum. It's like a lesson.
Make better choices,
Being late,
Jen.
yes, make
Let him
better choices.
make his own mistakes. He'll learn eventually.
It's not like we're putting you on the ship.
I mean, it sounds like we'd be better than this lot.
And also, if you don't want to listen to the two experts in the room, then that's your problem, isn't it, really?
Sage advice. So, as Antony's right flank is bunching, sorry James, I know,
No, keep going. It's going to get good, I'm sure.
yeah, okay. As Antony's right flank is bunching and it's crippling, Cleopatra sees her opportunity to make her decisive killer move.
I'm too browbeaten. It's going to be something rubbish, isn't it?
No, it's really, really good. She sails straight through the middle of the gap they've just made and does one.
Of course she
Heads
does.
out to open sea.
Of course she does.
Plutarch?
So Plutarch says, although the battle was fairly equal at this point,
Was
both
it?
sides, yeah, well, I mean, he's trying to be nice, isn't he? Let's face it.
Balanced.
Both sides having some success, again, not really. Suddenly the 60 ships of Cleopatra were seen to raise their sails as if to sail away right through the middle of the fighting. They had been placed behind the large ships and so caused panic as they made their escape through them. So basically Cleopatra is in the middle, she lifts the sails up and then starts to go, and everyone else that's still left there fighting is a bit like, what? She's going!
So, did you kind of said earlier this may have been their plan. Is this why they kept their sails?
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, we think so. I mean, their idea is always that they're going to go and fight on land somewhere, and that the ships will follow them when they leave.
Okay.
The ships will follow them, and then they'll be able to like convene with the infantry and have a land battle against Octavian. But the problem is, there's hardly any of their navy left. Either they're dead, they've been captured, or they're surrounded anyway.
Or they're complete randos they pulled off the
So
streets.
when she goes, there isn't really anyone left to actually follow her. She's literally just running away.
But there is more.
So the next bit, what it says, Indeed, this is what made it obvious to all that Antony was controlled neither by the arguments worthy of a general, nor of a brave man, nor even by his own views. Instead, he was dragged along by the woman, shocking, as if he had become part of her body and had to go where she led, living up to the joke someone once made when they said that the soul of the lover dwells in another's body. For the second he saw his ship sailing off, immediately he forgot everything else, betrayed, and ran away from those who were fighting and dying for him. He boarded a 5-oared galley, accompanied only by Alexis, and pursued the woman who had caused his ruin and would now complete his destruction.
So he does one as well.
Yeah.
He runs off too.
Yeah, of course he did. So yeah, that made him sound like he's pretty whipped by Cleo, isn't he?
Majorly whipped, I would say, not pretty whipped. He's just basically running after it. It makes him sound pathetic.
It really does. Who's Alexis?
It's not an Alexa, don't worry. So, right, Alexa, where are my ships?
Alexa, leg it.
He's just another guy.
Oh, just another person who's probably been useless.
Yeah.
So you can
Okay, fair
imagine
enough.
if you're fighting for Antony and you're still there, being surrounded in your massive, stupid ships that aren't any good, and you're just like, huh? Where have they gone? They both just toddled off. The rest of the army are not going to be very happy, are they?
So they've both buggered off.
Yeah.
What does the army do?
Well, the Navy keep on fighting.
Why?
They don't realise what's going on. And what's even better, his army, his land army, is in a line on the beach watching.
Why?
So you can imagine they're not going to be very happy about what's happening. So it wasn't until much later that the fighting actually stopped. So many of Antony's men refused to think that he had fled. They thought that this was just not something that he would do. It
Right,
was,
okay.
it was just something that you would not do as any self-respecting
Especially
Roman.
on Mark Antony's side to Julius Caesar, great hero. He doesn't run off
So,
from fights. He
Even
starts
at this
fights.
point, he still has that level of reputation.
With some of his men,
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
yeah. I mean, not with all of them. So quite a lot of them are starting to...
Certainly all of the kind of the mercenaries and the other king ships, they're just kind of like, should we just go home?
A lot of them are starting to do that, and they now decide that they're either just going to leave or they're going to change sides and they're going to support Octavian, which actually I think is the best thing to do. It's the brightest thing to do.
That sounds like a good plan. Can I just ask, why were they there? Why had they been put there to watch this fight, or had they just turned up?
It's not so much they've been put there to watch it, it's just that they were there.
That was
ready,
their position for the land battle.
That if they start fighting at sea, that's where they would have been fighting at land.
Right.
Because obviously, if Antony's such a good infantry commander to fight on land, you can't have him fighting hundreds of miles away at sea and then his other army on land, because he's going to have to get basically hopskip from the boat, run up on the hill, so he can start telling his men that are on land what to do. So this is why they're literally kind of next to each other.
Right, but he still positioned his men so you can see this battle that, by the sounds of it, he intended to lose.
Yeah,
And
got to give him something to do.
He didn't think that would affect morale or anything like that.
Maybe giving him some extra booze before the battle started.
Lads, watch this, it'd be great.
There surely must come a point where you've drunk enough.
If you don't go, then you can have a bottle of wine and maybe something else. You can have your own Cleopatra waiting for you when you've finished.
I mean, what? Someone to control you and what
Run
did
away.
Yeah.
It's also worth pointing out that given that they run straight through Octavian's forces as well, they don't take a side exit, they go straight through the middle. Some of Octavian's ships do try chasing Antony and Cleopatra.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what don't they have?
Sails.
They don't have sails!
They don't
So they
have
row for a
sails.
bit and then they've just got to
They just get
wave
knackered.
bye-bye to the It's like, bye!
But ultimately,
Oh.
the damage is kind of already done anyway, so even though they're not chasing after him, it doesn't really matter. Antony and Cleopatra now pretty much know that,
It's done.
So
time's up.
I think you said like the fighting went on for a bit longer. Did the ships surrender or they just get battered?
Well, yeah, eventually Antony's men, throughout the haze and fog of battle, they do cotton on to what has happened and they surrender.
Okay.
So because there were so many left, not obviously the people fighting at sea, but if we think about the land army,
Who'd just been stood there watching.
they'd just been stood there watching, so there was quite a lot of them still left. Octavian pardoned and paid them all.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it's obviously quite crafty because it means that there isn't really any loyal supporters of Antony that are left because his land army now have decided that they will support Octavian.
Paid them to go home or to fight for him?
Well, he's basically just bought an army.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably thinking at the end of this battle, oh no, we're on the losing side, bad things are going to happen to
They're
us.
going to be killed.
I'm going to end up in a chalk mine, but no, here's a guy giving us land and...
I mean, I'm kind of feeling that way. Can he pay me off?
But yeah, he buys and forgives a whole army.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
So, who does Antony have left now?
That guy on the boat with him.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
he's got Cleopatra. He's obviously got some of the Egyptian forces as well
yeah.
because they follow Cleopatra, so they will do what she asks.
Still, are they wavering a bit at this point?
Yeah, waving bye-bye to all the Romans.
Some of the kings from kind of the kingdoms around Egypt, who probably would have been
All the ones Antony kind of got on
supporting,
side with
yeah,
his party.
they've now started to dwindle off, and some of them have now started to go over to Octavian because they know ultimately when he wins, he's going to be in charge.
Right.
So
is this them
they're kind
kind
of playing the long game.
Yeah, is this them trying to get back in with the Empire? By
just
getting it on board with Octavian and sidelining Antony?
Trying to make sure that they're not killed.
Okay.
Yeah,
worst,
the
or
one thing
invaded.
one thing you don't want to be is on the wrong side of Octavian.
Getting that, finally it's starting to sink in a little bit.
So after all that, James, Antony, Battle of Actium,
It's not gone well, has it?
it's not gone well at all. But again, it leads us to this nice point about can we really trust the contemporary sources or even someone Plutarch when they're talking about something like Actium? Because if you read it on face value, like we have been doing, Antony comes across as just
A moron.
Complete idiot.
But this is, again, you've got to remember, all of the original sources that Plutarch will have been looking at, people like Horace and Virgil, they're all Octavian's men. They all benefit massively from Octavian, and they sell this as the greatest battle that ever has been, particularly Virgil, doesn't he? He goes on about, it's the greatest battle ever.
So this is a major piece of kind of propaganda, which really is used to, or a PR, not a stunt, it's not obviously a battle is not a stunt, but it's a piece of PR that Augustus can use when he basically takes control of the whole of the empire. If you think about what makes a Roman a successful Roman and the things that they view as being desirable in a leader, one of the things is military success.
Okay.
And this is a military success, but it's a pretty rubbish one, really, when you think your enemy's just
it's more of a
ran
military
away.
military failure.
Yeah, it's Antony's cock up, not his victory, really.
But for Octavian, what he's able to do is he's able to actually change that and make it into something much bigger and much more spectacular.
He's putting some spin on it.
He's putting a lot of spin on it,
okay.
yeah. So it's like a washing machine spin that he's putting on this. But he uses this then to launch himself as the first emperor of Rome and say, look, I am the saviour of Rome, so I've saved you from this evil Egyptian foreign queen and this absolute idiot who basically went along with her. And, and it's something that...
He's saved Rome.
He's saved Rome. And it's there indefinitely. So if you think we're still reading about it now, that was something that was supposed to be there 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Just like we have World War One poetry now, where you can read it and think, oh, they were really brave.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. He wanted people to be reading this years down the line and going, he was an amazing military leader.
So is that like the narrative that all the sources have, that Antony's kind of a bit of a clod?
All the surviving sources,
So
definitely. I mean, some even go even further. So Virgil makes it almost like a prophecy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He talks about, Virgil's writing the Aeneid, which is about someone during the Trojan Wars, which is 1200 BC, like over 1,000 years before this. And he talks about this image of a shield, and on the shield is Octavian defeating the Antony and Cleopatra
Yeah.
Right, okay.
at Actium, so it's a really, really big deal. So when you
Okay.
get to people like Plutarch and even Suetonius, they have no option but to use this incredibly pro-Octavian,
Yeah.
anti-Antony.
Is that how
material.
they spun things though? Because would you not want to build Antony up to make your victory seem grander?
Well, they do that with his forces, but
Yeah,
again,
not him as a man
No, not him as a man. He's
or
kind
a
of,
leader or anything like
no,
that.
he's the weak pretender who's controlled by the evil
Right, okay.
Egyptian queen, which
Ultimately,
is why you
you
need to
can-
sort her out.
You can split it into two because the normal sources, the longer type sources that we look at, so like Suetonius and things like that, they obviously are quite negative in Plutarch, but then the poetry is very, very separate. It's kind of more or less, it's just completely for Augustus. But you've got to think that most of those poets were friends with him. They were writing when he was in power. Okay, they were basically employed by him, so they're going to be writing things which are overly positive and trying to create this kind of new identity. So they've got to build him up.
Okay.
And if
So-
you're a writer in this early imperial age, the easiest way to get a good paying job is to say nice things about Octavian.
This is basically Octavian's justification for why he should become the first emperor of Rome and why he should become Augustus. And the poets put that down in writing
Okay.
so that people can read it for years to come. And then Augustus basically backs it up by writing his own piece of writing where he says, yeah, I am great.
just to confirm, I am awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, subtlety, not a strength. So there you have it, the long and drawn out torture of James through the Battle of Actium. Thank you for listening. We hope this has been useful and helpful. Leave us a comment below, and until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.